high, you just high. Nina ukaniluka buseli, ngachimweo kapena ni malaria.
When you walk away, I wanna make you my woman. I don't wanna waste no time. I say, hold up, my mama. You know I'm wanting you. I say, hold up, big mama. Can I be the one for you? Tell me, where did you come from? Zambia.
Hello and welcome to Africa 54. My name is Chilufya Mwelwa. We're on the Z.N.B.C set and I'm with Vincent Makori. Hello, welcome to the program and welcome to Zambia.
Thank you very much, Chilufya. I'm so delighted to be in Zambia and to be at the Z.N.B.C studios in Lusaka.
We're very honored to have you. I know that you were in southern Zambia.
Yes,
what did you see?
I was in southern Zambia. I was in the city of Livingstone, and yes, I actually saw a lot of people carrying, goods across the border. Zambian traders have taken advantage of Zimbabwe's ailing economy to buy basic commodities from Victoria Falls to resell in the resort town on Livingstone. Now, many traders say items such as meal, sugar and milk are cheaper in Zimbabwe, prompting the traders to charge double the price in the Zambian market. Now, here's what we saw at the border. With the economic challenges in Zimbabwe, the cross-border trade between Zimbabwe and Zambia, in fact, continues vibrantly. Actually, the traders on the Zambian side say that goods are way cheaper in Zimbabwe. And so they're cashing in by getting goods from the Zimbabwe side to the Zambian side. And they are benefiting from the lower prices of goods like meal and sugar.
The reason we buy from Zimbabwe is that their meal, sugar and cooking oil is cheaper. I'm unemployed and widowed with children, so I have no other choice but to trade to fend for my family.
The traders, however, face restrictions imposed on some of the basic commodities, such as sugar, at the Zimbabwean border, making it difficult for them to bring it into Zambia.
When we get to the border, we face difficulties. Even if we just have one packet of sugar, they will confiscate it on the Zimbabwean side. When you cross over to Zambia, the customs officers question us as to why we buy these products that are available in Zambia. They sometimes seize our goods or charge us high duty.
The people who bring in sugar and meal in bulk have problems with custom officers. It's not that there isn't meal in Zambia, it's just too expensive, and that's why we cross over to Zimbabwe, because it's far much cheaper there.
The customs officers, the policemen, and those guards, they are harassing us, telling us that we should not bring meal from Zimbabwe, bring it here in Zambia, because even here we have got meal. One, and number two, they're telling us that there is no hunger in our country. That why are you buying meal from Zimbabwe? Most of the women who are going to Zimbabwe, we pop on our back here, just to rescue ourselves. We pass in the bush, we start running from them. When they catch you again there, they'll beat you, they'll put you in the cells.
The government has reassured Zambians that the price of the staple food will normalize soon. With Zambia having recently increased the price of meal from $7 per 25 kilogram bag to $9, it is almost certain that local traders will continue to cross the border to buy a cheaper product at the expense of Zambia's food industry. Well, that report was produced by a Zambian reporter named Nyoni for VOA's Africa 54.
Right, it's interesting how drought has affected trade. Vincent. You know that our president was recently in your country attending the United Nations General Assembly, and I hear that VOA had an exclusive interview with him.
Well, that's correct. That's correct. In fact, the president of Zambia says he plans to tackle the effects of climate change in Zambia as the country looks ahead to an upcoming election in 2021. And VOA's Peter Clote asked him about that. In fact, this has been reported in Zambia's Daily Mail newspaper.
All these meetings that we attend, be it in the UN, the African Union, or in the region under SADC, ECOWAS, East Africa, or wherever, the panacea to our problem does not lie in interrogating these problems by way of having meetings, but it lies in implementing the resolutions that you have come across. And I think this is the biggest challenge that we have, because when we talk to each other, it was very clear that if you want to industrialize, I think you need energy. And what form of energy do you need? And we have realized that hydro energy is trickery. It's treacherous, if I may use the word. You know, 1 minute you have lots of water, the next minute you have no water, your production of power goes down, like Zambia. And so you need to have a good mix of the various forms of energy. But how many of us didn't know way back that we need a lot of energy to industrialize? But I'm glad that this is a wake-up call. And going into the future, obviously, we have said, yes, you need all forms of energy. But that's why I kept it by saying we need to have a good mix of energy, but only the private sector can invest to that magnitude that we expect should be able to have enough to develop. But the private sector will not invest if the tariffs, for example, that you are charging are not cost-reflective and profitable for them. Over the years, Zambia, the economy has been growing, the industry has been growing, population has grown, households, and the demand for electricity has exceeded the expectation of the power utility company. And so when you have this huge demand coupled with the negative effects of climate change, the power plummets from, say, 100% production to 20%. How do you meet the demand? And I think the solution lies in implementing whatever you've agreed upon. No matter how unpalatable, you have to bite the bullet. Sometimes these decisions come at a time when you have an election coming, like in Zambia. 2 years from now, we'll have an election, less than 2 years, in fact. But we have to bite the bullet. And we have to explain to the people that we are going to take these measures, not because we enjoy your suffering, but we are taking these measures because we want to keep you alive, want to keep the wheels of the economy turning, and want to go beyond 2021 with hope that the country is getting better. But who can make those decisions? Very few people. I do make those decisions, and I'm proud that we normally want to engage the people, stakeholders, and explain to them why certain measures are taken. And I think that's where we're losing it. Because by the time you come to realize that you need to implement these measures, you've been swept off your feet. You're either no longer in power, or there are a new man in office, and you're trying to, excuse me, I want to find my feet, and so on. So we should be sincere in our decision-making and implementation.
Well, Chilufya, on another very important issue, it looks like the Zambian government is also making efforts to make it possible for girls to stay in school. In the 2017 budget, the Zambian government announced it would start distributing free sanitary pads to girls in schools.
Yes, and today, 2 years later, the menstrual hygiene management classes have been introduced in schools. And this has attracted participation and the partnership of non-government organizations such as World Vision, who distribute the reusable sanitary pads in rural schools. CHITENTABUNGA Primary School in rural Lusaka province is one of the schools that received reusable pads. We visited the school and talked to two 14-year-old girls to find out how the program has changed their lives.
This is no ordinary class. These boys and girls at CHITENTABUNGA Primary School in rural Chongwe are learning about menstrual hygiene and how to make reusable sanitary pads. This special class was introduced after it was noticed that girls on their menses would stay away from school for weeks to avoid being shamed by boys.
We used to have a lot of absenteeism, especially in mature girls. That is, girls who have started their menstrual periods. At a time when they would go on their menstrual periods, these girls used to stay away from school.
The government, working with non-government organizations, initiated a project where free reusable sanitary pads are distributed in rural schools with the aim of improving school attendance by girls. CHITENTABUNGA Primary School was one of the schools that benefited.
In those days, before the introduction of washable sanitary pads, more especially on the girl child, we used to record about 80 to 100 absenteeism across the 7 schools. But this time around, the numbers drastically reduced to 5 to 10.
Choolwe and Cynthia, both 14 years old, received free sanitary pads and were trained on how to make and use them.
Before this program was introduced, we used ordinary cloth, which would cause bruises. But now, the school gives us pads, and we also have a special bathroom where girls can go and clean up in case she shows herself at school. Previously, boys used to laugh at girls who saw themselves at school, and this used to make girls on menses to stay away from school. But now we can come to school even on menses, because menstruation is normal for women, and without it there would be no humanity.
We used to stay away from school a lot, for fear that boys would laugh at you if you spoil yourself during menses. We are taught about pads. There are 2 types of pads. A pad is one that you wear with a pant, while a padding is one you wear without a pant. And if you spoil yourself, you have the right to tell the teacher, who will give you a pad, water and soap to clean yourself in the special bathroom.
The menstrual hygiene management program has not only helped improve school attendance among girls by as much as 80% in a month, but has also removed the girls' veil of shame on menstruation. Joshua Jere for Africa 54.
Really an amazing initiative, Vincent, that allows girls to stay in school.
Yes, indeed, to think that such a basic thing can make a difference for girls' life, not only in the present, but into the future. It's really commendable that somebody's doing something about it.
Thank you so much for coming through to our ZNBC studios and having me host the show with you.
Wow.
It's been awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been awesome being with you, Chilufya, co-hosting the show, and also for being hosted by ZNBC. We are really, really grateful. In fact, you'll be watching a co-production of ZNBC and Viewers Africa 54. We are so grateful to everyone who worked behind the scenes to make this a possibility. And we want to urge you all across Africa to continue watching Africa 54, and those in Zambia, keep watching Africa 54 on ZNBC.